Okay, well, I call the Port of Newport special meeting Monday, 4th of June, 2018, 12 noon, to order. And public comment? Anyone? Alrighty then. We'll get right into the meat of the meeting is the filling of Commissioner vacancy position number 5. We thank the two candidates who, for some ungodknown reason, put their names in. And we really appreciate that you'd be willing to step into the fray. So I want to say that for sure. And any other opening salvos were good? Okay, and I know we all share that sentiment. So what we're going to do is, you were told to have a prepared statement or the statements that we have, and so we're going to do that one at a time. So alphabetically, James Burke will go first, that you can talk to us, and then we can talk to you with questions, and please ask us questions if you have any.
Sure.
But the thing is, we do want the other candidate out of the room.
Oh. I can do that. Would you like to get a better vantage point?
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
sure.
good.
Why don't you come on up?
How about here? Is that okay? Okay, well, I did not prepare a statement, letting my letter of interest and my questionnaire kind of show my interest for the position. But I've done a lot of reading and kind of catching up on maybe some board meetings I haven't attended. And I just want to say I'm a big fan and friend of the Port. I think it's an amazing place. It's an amazing resource. Port of Newport and Newport, Oregon is a great place. I appreciate your time, both the staff and the commissioners and members of the public, business interests. The reason I really want to be part of this is to help move forward. I see the struggles, whether I read about it in the paper, talking with family, friends, constituents in the public. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of voters. And there's been a lot of, I got to think, discouragement. You know, when people are asking me to either put my hat in or asking me why I'm putting my hat in, I see a lot of eye rolls, like, you're doing what? And I'm saying, no, this is a good opportunity. This is the time to move forward. This is the time to, you know, it's kind of a little bit too cliche in political climate, but cross the aisle. Let's make things, let's make goals, let's set goals, let's move forward, right? So I think that's what is, I don't know, at this point in time, the feeling of the general public is a little bit like, what's going on there, right? It's a great asset. We need to balance some budget items. I know that. I know we're not running as efficiently and effectively as we could. There's been some staff shortages, some staff openings. It's time to buckle the belt and get moving in the right direction and become advisors and become colleagues and not be such an adversarial role. One thing, in reading through the mission and the values and you know, the mission of the Port is a wonderful thing. We want to stimulate commerce. We want to work in Bayfront. I don't want to see this turn into Monterey. I want to see the fishing boats. I want to see commerce. I want to see, you know, active groups doing nautical things. I don't want to see a bunch of shops. I mean, that's a big part of it, but, you know, having that combination is really what makes Newport unique. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm proud to be part of that. On the science side, as a small boat operator myself, coming in and out here using the facilities, I think it's a wonderful thing. One of the things in the vision statement, the vision statement is wonderful. One of the things in the values that really stood out to me, that all those values are very pertinent. Most of the values are very timely and kind of work. The one value that really stuck out to me, I'm going to read it if you don't mind. That is a place where I think I could help. And I think we all need to go there, I think, for the respect of the voting public and our citizens and our taxpayers. I think the one thing that we're really lacking is this last value, optimism. We have confidence in the importance of our mission and our ability to overcome obstacles, seize opportunities, and pursue our vision through steadfastness of purpose, awareness of our core values, and persistent focus on achievement. I think that's something that we all, whether you're a paid staff, whether you're an elected commissioner, appointed commissioner, whether you're a friend of the port, or whether you're skeptical of where the port's going, that's something we need to convey, and we need to also agree upon, whether I'm chosen or not, I hope you agree upon, and kind of utilize that as a guiding value going forward, because I think we kind of look at some things in an optimistic light, in a need to go forward, not to go backwards. I mean, backwards is important. You got to analyze history. You got to own up to past obligations. I understand that. But to set goals, to, what is success? Do we meet 50% of the goals? Do we meet 75% of the goals? We need to kind of look at that, analyze that, and have that as an open conversation. So I think moving forward, I really stress optimism. I'd like to be a part of that optimistic future. I think that is the key thing that's missing in talking with the public. They've kind of lost that faith. Those eye rolls. And I don't necessarily agree with those eye rolls. I see the promise and I see the potential. But it needs some, working together. So with that, I thank you for your time. I appreciate your consideration. I truly feel that from my heart, that I appreciate the support. I've been a member. I've worked closely with both Kevin and Don Mann, Kevin Greenwood and Don Mann, as a senior staff member at the Oregon Coast Aquarium, helping them through mitigation projects, both with the International Ship Terminal and with NOAA. The integral part of helping by kind of figuring out the better way to do things, figuring out the easier way to do things, working with, in collaboration with, partnerships. That's another thing that's cited in the values. Helping that out and helping through and finding better solutions for maybe complicated problems, right? So mitigation can cost a lot of money, or maybe you can find help with your partners. In that case, we did. We worked together well, and we mitigated eelgrass for way less than was specifically or scheduled to like what it was going to look like. So I think finding solutions, looking for solutions, utilizing partnerships are important. But overall, that optimism, pushing optimism into the future, getting that word out in news times is at every meeting, getting that word out to your friends and family, getting that word out just by accomplishment is really important. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions?
Any questions for me?
I just had one.
Yeah.
You will be willing to run for this office again?
Yeah, that's my intention at this time. I mean, I know you from the community a bit. I know Sarah from the community a bit. I know Stuart from the community a bit. I've read about you, and I'm happy to work with anyone in this room, and same with you guys. So yes, is the answer to that question.
Okay. That was my only question.
Question?
Yes. What in your roles in previous boards and previous experiences, what are the experiences and the lessons you've learned previously that you think most translate to what needs to be done here at the board?
Right. Well, I think strategic planning is important. Strategic planning is a guideline. Strategic planning sometimes is a fluid document that sometimes needs to be altered. So understanding, setting goals and reaching those goals, but understanding that sometimes there needs to be some flexibility. So I think flexibility is a very important thing going forward. Opportunities sometimes arise that you don't foresee, and those opportunities need to be weighed with your values, your mission, and your vision. So I think I would say flexibility is important.
I have a similar question, but that kind of summed up what I was thinking, so I'm good.
Good.
Anything else? Well, thank you, Jim.
Okay. At this point, do I stay around, or are you
No,
guys
you have
contact
to-
me after the fact, or how does this
Someone
work?
will go out and yell, Jim!
Okay.
But
Wait.
Gail's out there
Wait for
somewhere.
the
Yes,
smoke to come
yeah.
from the chimney.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the good color again?
Yeah.
White? Isn't it white?
Okay. Thank you.
You know, to be fair, Jim sat at that end, so you can sit at that end.
How about I stand?
Or stand, whichever you prefer.
I guess it's open for me to address.
Yes. we
I
want
didn't
to-
bring a prepared statement, but I would like to make a statement.
Great.
My statement is that I was born and raised here. I'm extremely familiar with the Port Newport. I have not only working relationships, but personal relationships with a lot of the staff, users, and likewise. I've been deeply involved with the Port Newport since 2006 in the passing of the bond measures to rebuild the international terminal. I have attended the greater majority of port meetings in that amount of time. I am extremely familiar with a lot of the issues facing the port today, and I feel like I can get up to speed fairly quickly. I'm sure there's a lot of details I don't know that I would have to do a lot of studying and learning to get up to speed on the total fine details that you guys all deal with, but I am keenly aware, and I do have concerns. I think I could bring some new, fresh ideas to the port on how to bring some insights and some things together and maybe get some things moving forward that need immediate resolve. And there are several. I do have some concerns with some things that's been going on, and I will tell you this, that I think that the international terminal has been a big focus of the Port of Newport for the last several years, and I think that the port has neglected other facilities and other issues because of that. I think that a little bit of focus has been taken away from other parts of the port, and I think that that focus needs to go back. I think the international terminal is there now, it's operating now, and until there's other proposals to happen up there, I think the port needs to redirect its focus on the rest of its facilities and try to get directed in that direction and try to get resolved some of its other issues out there. But that's just me, that's just my talking, and like I said, I'm keenly aware, I know what you're facing. It's not an easy job. I think that, anybody that would apply, I have a little bit of respect for you guys because it's all I know is free. You give up a lot of your time, you spend a lot of your money, and to serve people here. And I have a history of serving the community, and I'd like to continue to serve it.
Any questions?
I think we should probably ask them the same questions, but so I'll ask Yale. You will be willing to run for office in May when this term is up?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
So previous board experience and your other experiences, what do you think lends itself most to the work that needs to be done here at the port? Just sort of what you've learned in the past and how it can be applied.
Well, I just think that it's important to communicate a lot with the users, and I think, prioritizing with the current commission and getting the priorities right and moving forward. I think that the port has got some real issues funding. I think that, I think it's going to have to be a really work together collaboration in order to climb out. I mean, the port is facing some very deep issues, and unfortunately, some things have happened that made maybe some powers in other parts, other political things not so happy. And I think those fences need to be mended, and I think that, today needs to be a new day, and let's move forward. Let's forget about yesterday. Let's forget about what's happened, and let's get this thing going in the right direction. Let's get, things working for our users and making sure that we protect the ones we have and get things fixed. And I think that we're all going to need to communicate very well, and I think we're going to have to work hard together to make that happen. Because I think it's an uphill battle, as you know, but I think it's even worse now because of what's happened and kind of what went on over the last couple of years. And it's unfortunate it's happened, and I think what we need to do is repair it and move forward and send a message to everybody within our community and surrounding communities that that's where we're at.
Thank you.
I had the same question as Jeff, so you're lucky on there. So I have a question just for what the candidates will be doing. We say that we're going to have deliberation and a vote. Are they out of the building for that?
I would say for here.
They can hear the vote.
Yeah.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
we should invite.
Yell back.
Okay.
Jump back in.
Just check it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Simple.
Sir, before we go on, should we try and get a hold of Stuart so he can
Yeah.
hear?
He's on the phone. Wolfram, do you want to send him a text that
But do
number
we
he
have
may
to
not
dial-
recognize is calling in?
Do we have to dial the country code?
No,
He's in Mexico, so
Yeah.
do we have to dial the country code?
I think he's got his work phone.
Okay.
So it shouldn't work down
Are you texting him?
here. Yeah, hang up. We're trying to call you.
Tres cerveza, por favor. While we're waiting, we had another person come in. Did you sign up?
I did not sign up. I was circling the perimeter here to make sure everything's settled.
Right.
I'm Hallie Boyd. How are you?
Okay, good. You're with the Grays Harbor?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay.
I thought I was going to be at a meeting this evening at 6, but there's another one else.
The one this evening is the city.
Correct, yeah. Absolutely.
This is the one.
Yes, any meeting I can go to, I'll be there.
What's this evening?
City council.
Well, you missed the comment period,
I know, that was a great tragedy. I sure been from Portland.
but then we had figured we could fit this in. We could fit the public comment because we aren't having any at the end of the meeting, which we usually do, but we're in the throes of deliberating and voting on a new commissioner right now.
Should we retry?
Yeah, no response from him.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Liz Stewart? No, no.
No.
That's busy, Sam.
I'm not sure.
No.
He's on another line. I don't know.
Well, we can only try.
Still didn't reply to the text.
No, he didn't. No.
Well, he must be busy then, and we want to continue on, or? wait?
I have a question for Pete. Don't we need all four of us to vote on this?
Well, you don't need it if we have a unanimous vote, but we've also allowed ourselves 2 meetings to complete this, so this is an unplanned absence.
Right.
So if you folks want to use your discretion to pass the vote on when he is present. The other complicating factor is the ballot has to be signed.
Right.
So it really would be required 3-0 regardless, if you hold him or not.
What has to be signed?
The
The
ballot.
ballots have to-
Ballot.
It's in your resolution. Now,
Yeah.
that's not state law, but I don't want you folks tripping up on your own resolution.
Right,
Right.
right.
There was only going to be 3 voters.
To bring the
Anyway.
candidate forward,
Right.
and then the full commission votes on that person.
Right, the
To
full
see-
commission does vote, though.
To seat.
Even on the, before,
Oh, to seat it would be, need to be 3 is what you're saying.
Yes, this resolution's got a few ambiguities, but
the motion,
proposing candidates takes 3, but once you have a candidate or candidates, then voting for the vacancy, or the party to fill the vacancy takes all 4 of you. And they do require a written ballot.
is that on the motion to appoint?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but prior to the motion to appoint, we would need all 3.
Right. I mean, frankly, you folks can propose the candidates as they stand, but I believe nobody else applied. And then the motion to appoint is the vote. That is who you're voting for.
Right, so all of that prior language is just to get to a point where there's two.
Correct. Or at least I believe so, let's put it that way. I didn't draft the resolution, so.
I have just a question, because I was involved in the last appointment. Has it changed from the last appointment?
No.
I don't believe so.
No.
Well, the last appointment didn't, the president couldn't vote.
Right.
And only in the event of a tie, and because there were three,
Right.
there wouldn't be a tie, and it was 2-1.
Well-
So it wasn't a full three, and I know that, because I was in the
Yeah.
room that. And I think that knows it.
Yeah. No, it was.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, and I was the
I
president.
know,
so
yeah,
so-
you were, I know exactly. So anyways, just wondering.
Section 4 does say president may vote on the motion to appoint. I mean, that's
Okay.
Right, but they don't pick the person to come forward.
correct.
So as I understand it, Stuart, our missing president right now, would prefer to hold off the motion to appoint until the next regular meeting.
I don't, the.
That's what he expressed to me and wanted that to be known if we couldn't get a hold of him.
Okay. Well, we've allowed ourselves 2 meetings.
We understood it, he was suggesting holding off the appointment, but
Right.
not the voting.
We
Right.
could shoot, we could
Voting
vote.
is still, according to the resolution, if all three of you, as Pete said,
It would have to be unanimous,
If all
though.
three of you are unanimous, you could vote down.
Even though it wasn't last time.
Yeah, it wasn't unanimous.
I was in the room last time.
You were?
Well, no, it was-
So-
I was,
They wrote it on a piece of paper
Yeah.
and
Right.
folded it up in county.
right.
The selection wasn't unanimous, but the appointment was unanimous.
Well,
So
would
we don't need all 4 of us to do this, Pete?
I don't believe so.
I mean, what is, I didn't bring my bylaws with me, does it? Yeah. I know, but I think, wasn't there something in the bylaws too, like, is it the same? Let's see.
Bylaws have got a little interesting wrinkle, which I don't think I need to get to unless we have a split vote. Bylaws require unanimous vote if there's only three voters, but I don't know that we have to reach that issue. If we do have to reach that issue, I'm going to look at some of these ambiguities, but these things have gotten passed one layer on top of another. Some of them don't even comply with the requirements of, well, I should say the minimum requirements. And so, depending on how the vote goes, to propose the candidates, the appointment one is fairly clear. That one is all 4 people voting, but we don't have the 4th person here.
Right. So we could pick the person and then appoint them at the next meeting.
Correct.
And it wouldn't have to be unanimous because we have precedence. It wasn't, I was there, it was 2-1. You were there, you were
Yeah.
there, you were there.
And I believe, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also believe if you do select someone now, it's still up to the 3 of you. If you decided to put that person in place now, you could, or it's my understanding that Stuart would like to wait and do it next time. I think you have the ability to go either direction on that, however you decide as commissioners. Is that right?
Well, I don't know. I think the fact that it's in a section specifically, and the president has requested that he vote, but they use the words may, so that's an inherent ambiguity.
In A, it says upon a single candidate receiving a plurality of votes, so it's not unanimous.
Yeah, plurality.
And they talk about 3 to 4 or 2 to 2 or 3, 2 of 3 and 3 of 4 somewhere in here. Or not.
Yeah, I don't think precedent should be relied upon, but let me just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I can probably tell you more in executive session, but if we have a unanimous vote, everything's good. If we don't, we should wait for the final appointment for when the president gets back.
Well, we won't know unless we vote whether we have unanimous or
Right.
not.
You want to give him a call again? having a constitutional crisis?
Annoyance.
No, I
Not
haven't.
crisis, annoyance.
We allow ourselves 2 meetings.
Yeah.
Hi, you've reached 595.
Yeah. Well, should we vote to see if we have plurality or wait for the whole thing? Or what do you guys want to do?
I think we could vote.
I might interject that if they don't vote, do they then have to take the next step of soliciting more candidates and doing it at the next meeting?
Yes.
That's how that's.
Okay, I suggest we vote.
I forgot one quick.
Sarah?
Sarah.
Yes.
I just want to say before we go
Yeah.
on, just to the 2 people, Jim and Yale, who put their names in, thank you for doing so. I think people know this, but you don't get paid a penny. You know, there's a reason you get the eye rolls. And I was impressed with both of your all's thought in your written statements and in your prepared remarks. You thought a lot about the issues and know a lot and have both. Nobody does this for fun. It's even if people have different opinions, they do it because of this community that we all love. And so thanks for putting your name. So I wanted to say that.
Thank you.
I'd like to second what Jeff said, and I've worked with both of you folks, and so I look forward to working with either one of you. I don't think either one of you would not do a great job, so I look forward to seeing with both of you. I do have one question for you, Pete.
Yeah.
If we have a plurality, do we have to appoint today, or would that person just be basically the person select?
That would be the person just selected.
Okay.
The appointment, there's argument the appointment should be with a quorum. What a quorum would be the full commission, and that's always 3.
Right.
So if we have a plurality today, 2 to 1,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone away for Stuart for the second meeting anyway. We have the issue of whether or not a quorum is required, which laws go back and forth, but if we do have a quorum, we're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other issue, which is the president has reserved, verbally it sounds like, his desire to vote on the appointment. And I think we need to respect that, even though the wording there's may. But he's reserving, so now I think he's saying shall.
Okay. And so if we don't have a majority, basically a 3-0 today, we have to reopen it and start the process over again, correct?
Correct. I mean, not
Okay.
necessarily every, the statements don't necessarily have to be
Okay.
restated, but if Karen can get the word out again, and then we'll have a vote. I mean, Stuart literally got called in a day and a half.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
There's
Everybody
nothing you could
understands
do.
that.
And so, back onto our bylaws, if we didn't do this, would this be considered our first attempt? And after the second attempt, if we didn't find another person, would we have to go to the county court?
The answer to the first is yes, this would be considered your first attempt, but you can alter your resolution before we get to the second.
In mid-process, we can?
The beauty of the
Okay.
resolution is it's the majority rule.
Okay.
And state law is what is required. State law doesn't require hardly any of this. And I'm assuming the reason that this was passed is because of the complications from the previous vacancy, which is understandable. But anything that's passed by resolution can be altered by resolution. And so if you find something that's unwieldy and it serves our purpose, yes, you should be able to change your process at any time.
Question for Pete. Sarah, I have a question for Pete.
No, I guess the plurality.
I have a question. May I ask it?
Yes, you
Yeah.
may.
Thank you. So my question is, if you vote the first time and it's 2 to 1, you could actually have more discussion and vote again today. Is that correct? That's what it looked like to me in the resolution.
They can vote all they want. The
Yeah.
appointment is the part that triggers the legal underpinnings. And so the process up to the vote of appointment is something you folks have decided to impose on yourselves. That's not required by state law. So if somebody calls that out of order, and it is out of order, that's one thing, but it's not at least against state law. The appointment is actually something that has to be done to appoint for a vacancy, and that person doesn't stand with any kind of authority if that part's not done properly. And as I say, Stewart had reserved to himself.
He did make that clear.
He made it very clear. So I don't know, what would a court say if somebody said, hey, you reserved it verbally? I don't know what a court would say, but your legal opinion at the moment is that the motion to appoint should be done with the four of you that are here.
And so the unanimous doesn't play to our first step. Because of upon a single candidate receiving a plurality of votes in the process that we're in right now.
It could, yeah. I mean, in a sense, it theoretically doesn't. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't really matter because
we haven't really kicked in all those ORS.
You have to have a motion. Yeah, you have a motion to appoint at the next meeting.
This, we're not making any motions. We're just voting.
Correct.
Unless we can reach Stewart.
Try Stewart.
And my point was to ask a question to Pete for clarification of Walter's just recent question. If indeed a candidate was not selected at this meeting, if it goes to the next meeting and follows the procedures of the resolution, then if someone is not selected at that second meeting, then by statute, is it not, that it goes to the county commissioners?
Yeah, but the commission limited themselves to 2 meetings on their own. That's not the state law. It has to be relatively reasonably quick time. I mean, we can't let a vacancy stay open for 6 months. But I believe because of the complication last time, you folks must have wanted to limit it to 2 meetings. So
It was 1 meeting.
Pardon?
It was just 1 meeting.
Yeah, it was on me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's probably because I wasn't there. But the point being is that the vote can't really be deadlocked today. So there will be a candidate proposed that can be voted on.
The next.
Whether it's
Right. I'm
plurality-
just thinking, will this move us forward to the next meeting?
Yes.
So, and my question was, does it have to be a unanimous vote to move forward?
It would only if you folks deem that a unanimous vote is sufficient to do the appointment. But because Stewart had reserved his desire to want to vote for that, it really is kind of irrelevant at this point. Had he not said something, or had he basically said, I don't care how you folks vote, then a unanimous vote probably would have done both.
Right. So it is clear to me. Any more questions on that? We can vote.
So basically, we're just selecting a candidate.
Yeah.
We're going to vote on it.
We are not appointing
Right.
any candidate today.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to vote.
Sorry. Just to drag this out, the Section 5, failure to achieve majority, that indicates that it says if the majority of the remaining commissioners cannot agree on a candidate. Well, the majority of the remaining commissioners weren't there to either fail or succeed to achieve a majority.
That was my question on that, Pete, was
So
that if we don't have...
Can I ask who drafted this, first of all? I read things from top to bottom, left to right. And so the motion to appoint, this is after the motion to appoint. So I'm assuming, and I don't know what the thinking was at the time, but after the motion to appoint, if it's 2-2, that's when 5 kicks in. That's what I believe it means.
That's what I think it is, too.
But again, that's legal opinion. A judge may say otherwise, but when all else fails, they tell us law school, read left to right, top to bottom. That's really, I kind of learned that in kindergarten, but frankly, that's what I believe that means, Jeff, is that the motion to appoint is where 5 kicks in after that fact. You wouldn't normally have an imposition of an obligation prior to when it would be required.
So it won't kick in this meeting. It won't be considered the first it's in. We don't need to go out for
So we're selecting.
to solicit more.
Well, the 2 meeting things are separate. Frankly, I hope that that's the case because there's another concept in law that the person who drafts something is the final word on what they meant. And even though it's not the same people, I guess Walter might be the same. But a judge will defer to what people meant at the time. So if Walter says that
I wasn't the president at that time. When the resolution. Oh, Stuart's. Okay.
I don't think we'll end up with a constitutional
Hi,
crisis.
Stuart, can we call you now? This is just my phone.
available whenever you get a good break.
Okay, I'm going to hang up here and we'll call you on the conference call.
Yeah.
Bye.
Wake up, everybody.
It's okay, I signed this ballot, but it's okay.
Are you there, Stuart?
La marcación a teléfono celular.
Wow, picked up.
Man, he must have done babble. Or we could just probably hear him well enough on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr.
Stuart, it's you. We are happy. We
Hola.
speaking Spanish last time we talked to you here. So, anyway, we've gone through the public comment. Actually, our public comment will end up being after this, but we've heard from the candidates pretty much along the lines of what you were read. We had a couple questions that we could review if you wanted to. So now we've decided that we want to vote. We were talking about your desire to break up the resolution establishing a policy for the filing of the vacant commission positions to, at this meeting, do only the selection and not the motion to appoint, correct?
That was my recommendation. Again, up to the commission there. I think, again, would certainly give the candidates time to come up to speed on details of the port and getting essentially the necessary or recommended FDAO training prior to them coming online.
Okay, and we, I believe, came to the consensus that was going to be fine. Do we have a
Yeah.
consensus? Yeah, we agree that that's fine with us, and so we were discussing whether or not we need just a simple plurality or a unanimous vote of the three of us, and I think
He's here, it
we've
doesn't
pretty
matter.
much decided that we're good with plurality on this section, and you would be voting on the motion to appoint at the next regular port meeting. That I wasn't
That's
aware of.
how,
Yeah,
that's how I understood it as well, sir.
okay, that you are not voting now.
That's correct.
So
Okay.
can I ask one more question?
Okay, one more
And this is the
question.
last one.
Okay.
If once they're appointed, do they start immediately, or can we?
As soon as they get sworn in, yes.
So once, do we swear them in today, or could we swear them in at the next meeting?
The
Once
appointment.
they're appointed, they could actually be here, get sworn in, and go right up to
Right.
Okay.
At the appointment.
the, be the very first thing on that meeting agenda.
Okay.
All right, I take it that there's no more discussion. We're ready to vote.
Have you each signed the back of your voting?
I signed it on the
We
front.
sign the front.
Signed it somewhere.
Thank you. I didn't fold it either.
Sarah, while you guys are voting, I guess I'm not sure if you, I'll just say that, again, my apologies for not being there, but also that I appreciated both of the candidates that were put their names in the hat and were willing to serve on the Port Commission. I think both of them are great candidates for the position. So that's my appreciation and apologies.
And we were likewise on that.
Great.
Do we have a
We
tally?
do have a tally. The tally is 3 votes for James Burke, and each of the sitting commissioners voted for James Burke.
Well, there you go. Congratulations, James Burke.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
And we will wait on the motion to appoint at the next regular meeting, and it'll be the first thing on the agenda.
Correct. And then you can just swear them in and which ones you folks.
All right, so that brings us back to public comment. We didn't have anybody in this audience need to comment, so you are up.
Thank you so much. Just to give you
Name.
give me a moment.
Yeah, we need your name,
My name is Hallie Boyd.
Hallie Boyd.
Would you rather change positions or is here?
Somewhere closer, our tape recorder is here.
I wasn't sure. I know that you, the special information, usually it's only addressing items on the agenda for public comment, so I appreciate if you're making an allowance for me to speak for a few moments. I'm with Grace Harbor Historical Seaport. I'm the director of Sea School Northwest, which is a new grant-funded program that does workforce development for the commercial side of the industry on our vessels. And I live in Portland, Oregon, so it made sense for me to come and visit and speak to you. I sent along a brief while I was driving, just so that you could have a bit of context. We had an opportunity to listen to a conversation that was had about the tall ships visiting.
Just one moment, please.
Okay, please.
Stuart, for your benefit, we received a handout from the group here.
I'm sorry, say that again, sir.
We received a handout, the Grace Harbor Historical Seaport, pointing out their points of concern and such on the recent activity on their visit here.
Yeah, I believe I saw that, so I think I'm up to speed on it.
Okay.
So, please, Hallie, thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I love a good handout. So I got a chance to listen to the conversation that happened on the 29th, and my primary concern was that there were a lot of questions unanswered from the perspectives of the seaport and the tall ships. So I wanted to make sure that I was visiting the town, getting a better understanding if there was any sort of an alternative option for our visit scheduled in July, before we had to make alternative plans. We got notice on the 30th that our special use permit was being revoked for a visit that was scheduled for July 12th. And for us as a nonprofit educational program, and for this program that we're preparing to roll out July 15th, and actually my slated rollout for this program is here, so that was why it was specifically impacting me. We were hit pretty hard with it, and ran some numbers, realized it would be an impact of $122,000+ for the change of this at this time, and that's based on the 21,000 plus tickets, or 2,100, tickets that we've sold. And so the charges that we would have to bear as an organization to actually refund the cost of those tickets would be catastrophic. So my hope was that we could find a solution. We could find an alternative docking option. Hearing the concerns of the community made total sense to me. I come from a commercial background. I work on tugboats. I understand the need for a working vessel to be able to have access to docks at the right time. So all of that made total sense. We would be willing to accommodate and work with anything you needed, whether it was the removal of black powder, finding an alternative dock and finding ferry options, constructing our own viable ramp options for loading and unloading of the public. But before we made a move to actually do a press release and speak about this publicly, that this is a change that's happening that could potentially impact the rest of our year, I wanted to speak with you and make sure that we exhausted all opportunities and reached out to the best of our ability. So I don't know if comments allow for questions, but that's my comment.
It usually is not a give and take,
Okay. Yeah.
unless somebody has a burning desire to help with this at all, or Walter?
Are you going to be in town tomorrow?
I will stay as long as you'll have me. Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
you're going to be at the city council meeting tonight, correct?
Yes, I was going to speak just on how it would be impacting our presence in the community moving forward. We've been coming to the community for the last 12 years, providing education programming and also public sailing opportunities, but if this went forward, we would no longer visit you for it. So I wanted to make sure that I said that to the community one-on-one before they got a press release from some distant entity that was like, we're never coming back, and we're not going to tell you why. So I guess I get to be one that gets to tell them that. But yes, I'll be here at 6. We're not here, but at the community meeting this evening at 6, and staying as long as it makes sense if we can find an option to have me look at other docks. I serve as a captain of the fleet, so I'm here with the authority to look at depths and ramp options, talking in and out. I can look at the tide charts, figure out where we can get it to be less impactful.
Because we did quite a bit of time was spent on
Yeah.
the depth of the two boats and where they could possibly go and splitting them up and this and that. I really think staff and everybody did as due diligence as we're capable of.
Yeah, I heard that. My only hope was the transient dock, if we could find something with that, or the international dock, if I could hire a local, someone local actually to help construct the ramp in an effort to be continuing to be giving back. We'd be up to that, to just be something where you have to take passengers on and off there. But I'm here with all ideas open. But I did hear that. I do appreciate that. I heard a lot of consideration for that.
Is there anything to add on anything?
Sarah, just real quick. Callie, did you get, I did manage to give you a buzz this morning. Did you get my message?
I did not. I was driving and I found to pull into a black hole of reception. What did you tell me?
Well, you can listen to the message. But nonetheless, I think it seems like you understand a little better about the concerns that some of the local folks have expressed, the challenges that we have at the port that's only so big.
Absolutely.
And the balance that we're almost perpetually under to find enough space for everyone and still not have anyone unduly impacted exclusively. So it is a balancing act, and you guys are part of that. I don't think anyone has expressed an interest of never wanting to see you guys back at all. I think it's not so much a complete revoking of the permit that was issued since April seemed to work out pretty well, and we're simply looking at either modifying dates or perhaps finding alternative dockage. And, you've got some good folks there to work with, and I think everybody's open-minded to coming up with a solution here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would echo that. I don't think anyone wants to see you guys leave forever.
Oh, no. That's, the way it stands is that would have to be the action you take if this stood, but that is not our hope. The reason that we made such a jump in the time spent in Newport was specifically because we got so many asks and we felt so enthusiastic about the community and the sailing. It seemed like a perfect match. I had no idea that there were these kinds of concerns. Had we known that this was going to be something that would be so impactful, we would have chosen a shoulder season. September would have been just as easy. At this point, after selling so many tickets, having to find moorage and refund all those tickets, it could potentially just take us out for the whole year. As if you have a bad summer, your winter is on working vessels, it's done. So that's why we're sort of throwing ourselves at the mercy. But thank you.
Understood. Totally understood. Anything more, Stuart?
No, nothing for me, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
So this isn't a notice meeting agenda item.
No.
So I don't know how deep we go into things, but as a commission, we can't do anything outside of really our commission meetings.
Right.
So I'm just kind of curious, sort of what our next steps are, or timing, or is that to be determined? I know that time is of the essence for everybody involved.
I think until it's an agenda item, we don't have much that we can discuss about it. Any kind of actions or anything. It would take a lot of vetting, a lot of reiterating this. And I really appreciate you coming and putting a face to the organization, and certainly wasn't intentional at our end either.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if anybody's able to connect one-on-one after this, then like I said, I'll be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Howard.
Do you have cards?
Yeah.
Right. So are we pretty much done with everything?
Yeah, just about
Right.
to shoot you hard.
Right. So at this time, I would move that the Commission go into executive session pursuant to RS 192660 to consider F and H, to consider information or records that are exempt from disclosure by law, including written advice from Port's attorney, and to consult with the attorney regarding the Port's legal rights and duties in regard to current litigation or litigation that is more likely than not to be filed, respectively. Only representatives of the news media and the Port's attorney shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All others are asked to leave the room. Representatives of news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decisions will be made in executive session. There will not be an open session after this executive session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Don't want to do any more stuff.